stop rocking around the Christmas tree. Let the Christmas spirit ring.
Okay, here we are for another edition of Neighborhood Training. This session we're going to work on the Mayor's Pond neighborhood of Falmouth. We're going to zoom into Capricorn Circle off of the Mayor's Pond development. Now, one of the interesting situations that I found out from doing this neighborhood training session and doing some of the travel times from some of the stations is that for a lot of reasons this neighborhood is a good neighborhood to live in. Obviously it's, a lot of nice homes, it's close to the pond, all those nice little real estate things. But one of the other really cool things as far as from our perspective is that this development, Mayor's Pond, is almost equidistant from Station 4, Station 1, and Station 5. It's like 3.5 to 3.75 miles from those three stations, and then it's also equidistant from North Falmouth and Woods Hole, being obviously a lot longer, but in the 7.5 to 8 mile range. So as far as, and even for ambulance response, either Station 5 or 1 can get in here pretty quick. So, as far as emergency response, which is the business we're in, and if the, it's pretty unique for an area of town. We cover it pretty well. We got 3 or 4 different ways to cover it. So this is the neighborhood that we're talking about. We're probably all familiar with it. The high school is over here, Brick Hill Road and Gifford Street up here, and that's one of the reasons why there is such good response to this area, is because of the road network that we're dealing with. Brick Hill Road, Gifford Street, are all north, south, east, and west roads. So this is the area we're talking about here. Say the high school's here. This is Mayor's Pond right in the center. And we have Spectacle Pond over here. Anybody guess why it's called Spectacle Pond? Well, because it looks like some glasses, I guess, according to somebody, some spectacles. I don't want to speculate on what else it could look like. Then to the north we have Deer Pond up here, and an area we will get into later on. But closely connected to this area is Jenkins Pond in the Pinecrest beach neighborhood up over here. So then, so that's basically it here. Let's just zoom in, and we're not going to spend too much time on this Google map here, because as we've mentioned before, it's not really with the way they take it there. All right, we'll zoom in here a little bit. Sorry about that. Okay, one of the features that we do have is, you look into this area here, is this area of land up here that there is no houses on, and nor will there be, because this is all conservation land on the north side of Mayor's Pond. And one of the reasons for that is because we have a well site there. The town has a Mayor's Pond well, and also has a water storage tower on the site as well. There we go. Well, Google's running a little slow today, so we won't spend too much time with that. And that's that feature, and there's all kinds of little paths and everything through here. But the thing I did want to mention as we'll look through is this pathway, a dirt road that runs up from the Mayor's Pond neighborhood to the water tower, also ends up connecting to the backside of Pinecrest Beach Drive. Okay, and then over in this area here, we're looking at Deer Pond right here, and these two smaller ponds, and also the gravel pits, which I know that we mentioned previously when we were talking about the old campus neighborhoods. Okay. All right. Now we will, as we mentioned before, they're not. The Google map is a good map, and well, we're not getting that either. Okay. Well. Okay. Well, computer's running a little slow here, so let's hopefully we'll have this cooperate. And last time we didn't get much cooperation. Hopefully we're getting a little cooperation this time here. Alrighty. Well, here we go. Alright. Now we'll just work on, this is the online GIS map that is available to everybody. And basically this map here is going to show our hydrants in that area and also the road network. So hopefully get it in focus here. Come on. Okay. Okay. That's a little better. Okay, so we have Brick Hill Road, which we're all aware of. Brick Hill. Oh, for crying out loud. What is this thing doing here? Okay. Got a kind of a mind of its own here. Alright. Let's work right in here. Okay. Okay. So, easy enough. Now we have Locust Field Road, and we have Patee Road. That's the first right, and then we have Dave Don Drive over here, which is a cul-de-sac. And we'll follow up. This is Patee Road, and it shows here Mayor's Pond Well. There's a road that runs through the end here between Spectacle Pond and Mayor's Pond. I believe there's some boulders there, or a gate now that kind of opens that up. But here's where we're showing the well site and the water storage tower. And then there's also a line that feeds into Pinecrest Beach. So that's how these two neighborhoods are all connected. As we talk about neighborhood training, is that we're all the neighborhoods in Falmouth are connected. Alright, so I'll work this camera down here. Okay, so we have Patee Road and Mayor's Pond connects over, and then Locust Field runs up. Now, one of the things that we'll touch on later on is that Locust Field starts at Brick Hill and runs all the way up to the intersection with Blacksmith Shop Road. And you'll see the numbers don't start at 1, and I'm sure that, you know, why is this autofocus not autofocusing? Okay. Well, the numbers, oddly enough, start out up here like in the I believe it's like the 305 area up in here, and continue on up. And that's because Trotting Park Road and Locust Field Road were the same road years ago, and many of us that have been here for a while, it used to be called either one or the other, Trotting Park or Locust Field. They used to go back and forth, and then probably 15, 20 years ago they decided one's going to be Locust Field, one's going to be Trotting Park. So you won't see a number 1 Locust Field Road. you'll see them starting up in the 305 area and running up. And that's why that is. Okay. So we have Mayor's Pond loops around. So all we got to remember is there's one side of Mayor's Pond Drive neighborhood, the south side, which is Patee Road, Dave Don in Mayor's Pond. Okay, and then there's the north side. I kind of call it the north side in my own mind, area of the Mayor's Pond development. And here's Locust Field running up. We have Harriet Road, and then we have Wampum. Okay, so this is Harriet. Harriet runs all the way up over here. Okay, and then we have Wampum and Capricorn circle up over here. Let's see if we can, yeah, okay. And if this map will cooperate, we'll bring it down just a little bit. And here we end up with the backside of Old Campus, an intersection over there. Here we go. And then Locust Field continues on this section that I know has caused some confusion with people, because it starts out as Gifford Street and really runs continuous all the way up to Thomas Landers, although it has 3 different names. And the reason for that is because basically this section of Gifford Street didn't exist until the high school was built in the early 70s, and so it became Gifford Street Extension. In order to get to the high school, the Locust Field Road actually existed before the Gifford Street Extension. It went through and continued on up to the Sun Junction area. So Locust Field Road existed before the Gifford Street Extension and ended up coming up and intersecting and ending with Blacksmith Shop Road, because Blacksmith Shop Road is one of the oldest roads in the town of Falmouth. And basically this whole area was used as gravel, and it was used as just haul roads. It was never really a lot of traffic up until probably the early 80s is when they began to pave it and put in houses up there. So that's the short and the long story. So we do end up with numbers in the 650 range, and that ends Locust Field. Okay, so the dispatchers, I guess the bottom line is the dispatchers have to be really astute in giving directions, and we also have to know, if we look on our maps before we leave the station, is what's the best way to get to certain areas. And we don't need to give directions to go through the Mayor's Pond neighborhood to stay on Locust Field to get to these upper areas up in here. So, all right. And the other thing that I wanted to point out here is that we see hydrants everywhere we go in this neighborhood. However, we do not see them in this lower road area here. Okay. Now there's only 2 houses down at the end, probably 3 at the most. Doesn't mean in the future there won't be. This is all a gravel pit over here, and that could be subdivided. But there's no hydrants in this section of Lower Road. And from this hydrant on down to this house down here, we're talking 2,400 feet. So we're either talking about relay pumping, laying out enough supply hose for from 2 engines to get down there, and relay pumping perhaps. The other option is to draft from Deer Pond. Right around this shore around here is very accessible, easily accessible. So we could draft if we had 25 down there with the draft hose. But just keep that in mind as we point those out. In some areas are hydrants, some don't. Okay. Now we're going to just briefly look at one of the other maps, if it will cooperate. If we can get this one to cooperate here. All right. This isn't going to show us any more than we probably already know, but just to look at it in a different avenue. Here's Mayor's Pond. Now there's two other features that I want to point out with Mayor's Pond, is that first of all, there is a fisherman's landing, which is access to this pond for fishermen, and that's this small way right up here. There's a small parking lot up in the corner up here, and this path kind of goes down an embankment, probably about 30 feet. So, you know, it could possibly, you know, have a fisherman that's gone down, that's fallen. That's a public access to this pond. The other section is down here, which has a public beach. Not a public beach, excuse me, I want to rephrase that. It's a private beach for the residents of that Mayor's Pond neighborhood. So, and it's a bathing beach with the shallow water and all that. So we could be called there to go, or we could use this as an access point to get into Mayor's Pond. Either you know, with one of the like the Zodiac, or perhaps for an ice rescue or whatever. Spectacle Pond is a little more wilder. There's not too many houses around it, so the access is a little bit more difficult. It is accessed by some conservation paths up over here, but not too many people are using it, although we could be called, you know, out there at some point. And as we mentioned before, with looking up at Lower Road up here running off of Harriet, we do have these houses, and they back up to Deer Pond. All right. Okay. So, all right, let's wrap that up and take a look at, I didn't take too many photographs, just a couple, just to portray some of the houses that are up in that area. They're mostly capes and ranches, colonials. This house here was somewhat unique in its design and its shape, beyond a cape or a ranch. And this is a, I guess you call it a ship's bottom roof or a bowed roof. So if we're looking to vent that roof, we're going to have a difficult time, because we will have a difficult time putting a roof ladder up to it. And so we probably have pretty good success with putting a ground ladder right up against the side. There's a little bow to this here, so it's just something to be careful of when you're looking at it. It looks like a cape, but as we get a little closer, you know, we have to deal with the fact that it's a bowed roof. This other picture is basically just showing a ranch that's typical of the sizes of the ranches that are in the area. Most of the houses are probably this size here. This is probably 1,200 square feet, probably a little around that, probably 1,000, 1,200 square feet, and then you go up to the capes, which can get up to 2,000, 2,500 square feet. All right. Now we're just trying to take a quick review of the neighborhood. If this will open up, here we go. All right, the Mayor's Pond neighborhood. All right, so these are just the reviews that we do. Oh, why can't I get that right all the time? Just frame it just right. So unprofessional. All right, so we're looking at about 120 single-family dwellings. Wood frame. I didn't see any other framing methods beyond that. Most of the houses have been built since 1960 to current. I don't see any that have been built in the last 5 years or 10 years. So in this neighborhood, it's probably a pretty good guess that we're using solid lumber. Probably not too much use in this neighborhood of the plywood or chipboard I-beams. probably some use of truss roofs, but it's probably a pretty sturdy neighborhood as far as the construction. There's a few home businesses there. It shouldn't cause us any issues. There's a few accessory apartments. Once again, that's just something we have to be aware of in Falmouth, that they allow it. So there's usually pretty good separation between the apartment and the main building, but we also have to look at it becomes a multi-family situation at that point. Approximately 240 residents, mostly year-round. Hydrants, with the one exception being a lower road. The roads are Locust Field, 359 starts at Brick Hill and runs up, and then 561 is the intersection of Gifford Street, and then on up to 649 with the terminus of Blacksmith Shop Road. We have Patee Road, Dave Don Drive, not road, Dave Don Drive, Mayor's Pond Road, Wampum Road, Harriet, Capricorn. Lower Road, as we mentioned before, no hydrants. Okay, there's probably 3 houses or so. Bit of a lay. What are we going to do? 2 engines, relay pump or draft. Special hazards, well, you know, single-family dwellings, about as high as we're going to get into this neighborhood. Yeah, single-family dwellings is the one that most firefighters get killed or injured at, so it is a high hazard, but not, you know, not so much that we're looking at the hazardous materials or anything like that. The other lower hazards, just something to be aware of: the 3 ponds, Mares, Spectacle, and Deer Pond, gravel pits, machinery, kids, you know, in there, mini bikes, so forth. We need to know how to get access into those gravel pits off Blacksmith Shop Road, and in the back off of Lower Road we can get access. It's all conservation land. Beyond that, old scout camp area, the water tower, Fisherman's Landing, private beach access. Now the response is headquarters rescue still for 21 and 21, 25, 24, and 26. Travel times I mentioned before. It's a good area in that it's roughly 3.3 miles from all 3 of these stations. The total response time from the time of call till we get at the scene seems pretty reasonable, between 7 and 8 minutes. It's a little bit beyond the 6-minute response time that we'd like to have for flashover, and also for EMS wise and so forth, but I think we can do it. Station 3 and 2 are 6.8 miles and 13 minutes response. So, you know, what that means here is that we can get 3 engines there pretty quick, have our manpower all there all at once, and, you know, we're in pretty good shape to do what we need to do. All right, that wraps that up. And this here basically just showing the gravel pits that are up there. I just wanted to show it quick that Locust Field runs up over here, and then at the terminus of Blacksmith Shop Road there's access into here, and also in Lower Road we can access through here to get in these gravel pits. Alright, that wraps up the Mayor's Pond neighborhood, and I hope you'll do some research on your own and drive through that area and know it very well. There's also a small gravel pit over in this area here as well. Okay, well, thank you, and stay safe and eat healthy.
We have a happy holiday. Everyone dancing merrily in the new old-fashioned way.